or John Lewis, is an in-demand public speaker, personal trainer, and entrepreneur. He has appeared on multiple television shows and been profiled in many magazines, including Muscle and Fitness, Men's Fitness, Vegan Health and Fitness, Maxim, and Sports Illustrated. He's also the founder of Badass Vegan, which is an apparel and lifestyle brand that educates individuals on plant-based nutrition and more conscious living. So without further ado, please give a warm welcome.
I have a vision for my life. To be a beacon of hope for people who feel down and out and feel that they are not worthy. I want them to be able to look at my story and say, if he could do it, why the fuck can't I? I'm the creator of my destiny. What I do today sets up my goal I have for myself 10 years from now. It takes everything to be successful. Everything in you has to be focused on your goal. When you put everything into achieving your goal, you have no choice but to be successful. When I'm faced with an obstacle, I smash it. I don't beat around the bush or try to find a quiet way to get around it. I want the obstacle to know I'm coming. And if it wants to take its chance and stay in my way, good fucking luck. My philosophy for life is quite simply one word: do good. It is a Buddhist belief of suffering. The Buddhists believe that suffering is a part of life, and that understanding that this suffering is a part of life, one cannot dwell on the suffering and move on to happiness. When it's all said and done, I want to be remembered as the person who found himself in this messed up world, but did all he could to make it better than how he found it.
Can y'all hear me? I'm good? Okay. So first of all, who has never heard of me here?
Me, I never heard of you. Oh my God.
That's it.
Why am I in here?
No, so just to give a little background on me, my name is John Lewis. I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas. I know a lot of people don't know my age, but I was born in 1977. Believe that or not. Wow. So, born on March 2nd, 1977, Little Rock, Arkansas. And if you've heard anything about Arkansas, and if you've never seen the story of Banging in Little Rock on HBO, just go Netflix that if you get a chance. So, the gang violence in Little Rock, Arkansas was very, very, very strong around that time because it's Arkansas, there's nothing else to do. So it was like, let's just join gangs. So my mom, doing the best she could, she moved us out of Little Rock, Arkansas into Ferguson, Missouri. And I don't know if you heard anything about Ferguson, Missouri. So that's where I grew up at. And it was a very, very challenging time in my life, but I was probably the happiest fat kid you ever met. I was 315 pounds by the time my freshman year hit. And, but the funny thing was I didn't realize I was 350 pounds. You know, when you're a kid, you just go outside and play, you eat Pop-Tarts all day, you play Nintendo, and you play basketball. So I didn't realize what I was going through at the time. And I got on the scale right before my first basketball game. My coach was like, have you weighed yourself lately? I'm like, no. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, you're 315. I'm like, oh, that's good, right, coach? He's like, yeah, for football. So I had to kind of like change things up. And I didn't go vegan at the time, but I learned a little bit more about eating. Went on to play college ball. And just to kind of talk about how hard it was back in St. Louis. So my sophomore year in high school, I lost 7 friends just throughout the year. And I thought that was normal growing up. Until I was talking to a friend of mine in LA, and she was like, that's not even close to normal. That's not how life is. And so, you know, I started to really look back and wonder, like, well, how did I grow up so happy? And I didn't know anything else. That's all I knew. I knew that if somebody died, you just move on, you keep going. And so fast forward to I graduated college. It took me 6 years. Don't judge me. It took me 6 years to graduate from college. I went to grad school in Fort Lauderdale at Nova Southeastern University, and I stayed there for about 2.5 years. Tried Atlanta for 8 months, hated it, went back to Fort Lauderdale, and I started this little company called Badass Vegan. And Badass Vegan really started, has anybody seen the P90X workouts? So if you really want to laugh, go back and look at all the infomercials and the actual print ads. I'm probably the only guy you know that was in a swimsuit issue. And that was from P90X. So a lot of people, they couldn't believe that I was vegan and I was in shape. And when they really when I saw how perplexed everybody was, I was like, wait a minute, I can probably start my own company. And that's how Badass Vegan was started. So that was 2010. Fast forward to today. Anybody here, I know, crazy question. Anybody seen What the Health yet?
Yes.
Okay. And Cowspiracy?
Yes.
Okay, so I made a couple announcements, but some people don't know. So the next movie that they're doing is my life story. And it's going to be based off of growing up in Ferguson. We're going to talk about food deserts, how McDonald's, you'll never see a McDonald's in Beverly Hills. It's just the truth because they won't allow that. But our neighborhoods, we allow it and we keep supporting it. So we're going to talk about the GMO industry. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about, we're really diving deep into it. And one of the major bases of the movie, which I'm very pleased about, is that hip hop was a major savior in my life. Now don't get me wrong, I listen to the bad shit too, but I listen to the conscious music as much as possible. So basically what we're basing this film off of is, and I'm very pleased that I get to interview all the hip hop and R&B artists that are vegan in the major industry and interview them on why they went vegan, why they think other people should go vegan, and the impacts it has on the earth. So we just met up with Russell Simmons about 4 weeks ago, and he agreed to be the executive producer. So that's gonna be crazy. I've already had Maya, Stick from Dead Prez, Styles P, talked to Jermaine Dupri, reached out to KRS-One, and quite a few others. There's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be involved, and we're gonna share the stories. And if you've seen Cowspiracy and What the Health and how everything's put together, it's gonna be put together very beautifully. So I have a different way of I usually do my presentations. So I talk a little bit about myself, bore you with that. We got that out the way now. So the way we do it is, I always tell, we do a question and answer from this point on. Now, what happens is nobody raises their hand when I say that, but I always say you get something free when you raise your hand. And then all of a sudden, everybody's hand is sure, and everybody's raising their hand. So today, I have a good friend who has Bio Raw. Have you been to their booth yet? Bio Raw salads?
Number 42.
Number 42. There you go. So we're giving away free salads for everybody to ask a question today. So, without further ado, who has a question? Oh, she was not. Either you like salad a lot, or you've been holding on to this question for a minute.
So you said you got on the scale, and then you realized, okay, not good for basketball, but you didn't go vegan at the time.
No, not at the time.
You said, I learned about health, and then all of a sudden you were fit and doing P90X, and no one believed you were vegan. When did you make the transition?
My transition, so at the time, the reason why I lost a lot of the weight was because I was playing 3 sports that year. So just naturally, it kind of shed itself. Anybody that's got kids, Little League basketball is not the same as high school basketball. Mm-hmm. Little League basketball is literally throw a bunch of balls on the floor, tell the kids to do what they want to do, and then we meet up again for a game. And then when I got to high school, it was more like 2-a-day practices for basketball, football, and I tried to run track, but 3:15 in track didn't work too well. So I was just out there by myself, just jogging. And then before I knew it, the sophomore year, I lost the weight. And then in 2006 is when 2004 is when I moved down to Fort Lauderdale to go to school. And by 2006, I was vegetarian already. I was having a bunch of complications with my stomach. Turned out to be IBS. And I went to talk to the doctor at my college. And he asked the general question, do you eat a lot of meat? And of course we lie. So I'm like, no, not at all. I don't eat a lot of meat. And he's like, well, I want you to try not eating meat for 30 days. And I was like, yeah, right. I was like, you see how big I am, man? I need my meat, the whole spiel that everybody uses. And I had a good friend back home in St. Louis that passed away. He had sickle cell. He had made it to his 30s though, which was very, very big for someone with sickle cell. And I just had this revelation. I was like, you know what? I guess I'm going to try this out. I'm going to do it. So I did a 30-day challenge, and I didn't even make it 30 days. Within 15 days, I felt like $1 million. And that was just vegetarian. And fast forward 2 years later, my mother was diagnosed with colon cancer. And then when I did research, talking to the doctors, things of that nature, I asked him, like, you know, how does this happen? I'm expecting him to say, you know, some kind of disease that's hereditary. And he was like, no, this is not hereditary. This is a lifestyle choice. He's like, too much animal protein mixed with, you know, fatty, fried foods. I'm like, wait a minute, so this is not hereditary? He's like, no. So I always tell people, I'm a big believer in learning from my mistakes, but I'm a bigger believer in learning from other people's mistakes. Like, somebody tries to run through that wall right now, they don't make it. I'm not gonna be the guy like, let me show you how to get through that wall. That's not me. That's not how I work. So come around that time, around 2006 is when I became vegan.
Do you have the same doctor now?
No, that was like a school. I wish I would have like recorded his name and all this, like, yeah, kind of bad. But he was of Indian descent. Wish I would have like really, cause I thought he was crazy at the time. So why would I even record his name? So yeah, I wish I would have. Thank you. He had it back there. I see. Okay.
Okay. What was the normal diet that you had before getting into this scale? Find out that. What was the normal daily diet that you had?
Anything in a box or a package. I'm not even exaggerating. If it was in a box or a package, I ate it. There was nothing fresh. Like my mom was a working mom. You know, she did what she could. You know, there was nothing personal against her. She literally did what she did. And the worst thing that ever happened to her was when she got a Sam's Wholesale Club card. Because everything was in bulk at that point. And it was just the two of us living there. My older siblings had already moved out. So literally, it was just whatever was in there, I ate everything from. We would keep 14 boxes of cereal on top of the refrigerator. And I'm not even exaggerating. And everything was literally like sugar loaded. It wasn't like something that was a special cake or something like that. It was just sugar loaded everything. And my mom, bless her soul, she could bake her ass off. And like when she made a cake, it didn't last longer than a couple days. So that was pretty much about everything. She got hat, red hat.
Yes.
Hi.
I'm Nate.
Oh, hi.
We love Americans.
Yeah.
I'm 10 years older than you, and what I've observed, you know, I have 2 kids. What I've observed, no offense to them, is that my kids don't seem as healthy as me growing up, and I'm thinking there's something changed in our food. We were in Italy last summer, and the food over there, you check the packages, there are no preservatives.
Yeah.
It's like natural preservatives like olive oil.
Yeah.
And my kids didn't get sick here. My kids have IBS. There's something wrong with the whole
Oh, of course.
food supply chain here.
And that's what we really want to delve into with the
Less
film.
healthy than we are.
Yeah. That's something we definitely want to delve into with the film. Like, you know, like the thing is, all of our packages, they tell us what's in there, but half of us never, even as vegan, we just look for a couple key ingredients, and if it doesn't have those ingredients, we're like, yep, vegan, we go for it. Like that, we just look for a couple ingredients. As long as we look at that little byline at the bottom, contains milk or made in a milk facility, as long as it like says the right thing for us, we're like, yeah, it says it's vegan. So like, the more we kind of pull back and really, really look at what we're eating, the more healthy that as a world will be. So, I got you next. I see her right here.
Wish.
But you.
As an activist, I generally avoid the entire topic of health because we know body types can be anecdotal. There can be healthy-looking people in the meat eating category and vegan, but also nutrition science is so obscure and so flawed the way it is because they can't control variables the way that they like to. So how do you get around that entire idea? You mainly focus on health.
Yeah, well, the way I do it is I live in Miami, which I'm sure everybody's hearing what's going on in Miami right now. But on a normal basis, Miami is like a big club scene. So I treat the health industry like a club scene because it's almost like religion or anything else. Like nobody wants to come to the party that they're invited to. And that's what it is. If you invite somebody to your party, they're like, I don't want to come. But if you have a party and somebody finds out they're not invited, they're pissed. That's how it works. So that's how I do veganism. I have this big party over here. Me, Dom, Tori, we'll have these big adventures. We'll go out, we'll go to Vegas. Everybody's like, why didn't you invite us? Exactly. Now they want to be a part of that. So when it comes to health and everything, when they're like, oh man, you didn't invite us to go to the gym, now you have to get people intrigued about it. The more you try to push it onto anybody, automatically the first human reaction is to resist. I don't care what it is. You can be like, hey man, your shoes untied. I know. Like, I know my shoes untied. You don't have to tell me. But you know, like, that's just how it is. The more you try to give the idea to anybody, they're automatic to resist. But the more you try to say, hey, you're not even invited, but we're over here doing this. Like, if you want to come, you can come. So like, that's why I post so many healthy posts. And but I'm not like, hey, you're a dumbass for not being vegan. I'm just like, hey, look at this. This is over here. This is healthy. You can do this too. You know you can do this. You know you can do it, right? Everybody can do it. And then they want to be a part of it by that time. I get more private direct messages because of that type of tactic than if I was to say, hey, you're not vegan. Like, I've never, not once, gone to anybody else's page and made a comment. Unless it's positive. I don't, like, when I see people go to other people's pages, like, you're stupid, you should go vegan. I'm like, okay, so you really think they're about to go vegan now? That's like walking into somebody's face and spit in their face and then go, hey, oh yeah, by the way, you should go vegan. Like, sorry about that whole spit thing. Like, that's just that. But that's what it is. So I think the more we like are inviting from a distance, because I mean, look at what the hell. That's exactly what it did. It just made people go, well, damn, they're over there doing that. They're actually living kind of healthy and fun. And all right, maybe I can do that. Instead of saying, hey, you're not vegan, go crawl under a rock. Don't even talk to me. So I think that's the way you do it. Just kind of, and the healthier we are as people, the healthier we are as vegans, the more ammunition we have to fire back. You know what I'm saying? If we are those junk food vegans, which don't get me wrong, Ronald's Donuts in Vegas, there's a couple places like that got me. But the healthier we are, the more ammunition we have to go, you know what? You can be vegan and be healthy. Anybody can be overweight and, you know, they can keep eating the meat instead of doing that. So I think the more healthier we are, the more ammunition we have to go against them. And behind you. That answered it, right? Kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, an enormous part of the Earth's surface is committed to animal agriculture. It's a huge factor in world hunger. And oftentimes this conversation comes up with people who aren't vegan, and they often retaliate saying that, well, even if everyone switched to plant-based diet, that still wouldn't solve the problems of things like capitalism.
Let's find out.
How would you how do you answer to that? Also, when are your compassion is not weakness t-shirts coming out?
Oh, that's one of my biggest things. I'm like, well, let's find out. Like, everybody has speculations about everything, but nobody has concrete evidence. Like, I've heard somebody say, well, if we don't eat all the animals, they're gonna take over the world. Like cows are in the back of the barn having these secret meetings and shit. They're like, hey, okay, so when Farmer Joe go gets the hose, yo, Billy Bull, you come up behind him, you hit him, Sally Sue, you go around, like, oh, that's not how it's working. Like, and that's when you have to kind of hit them with some facts, like, you know, like animals, a lot of animals have mating seasons. They wouldn't even be having babies if we weren't forcing them to have it. Things of that nature. Like, you got to kind of hit them with facts and hit them with reality. Like, sometimes, I tell everybody all the time, I'm not a scientist, I'm a realist. Like, I just hit them with facts. Like, okay, so do you really think that the cows would outnumber us if we weren't forcing them to have calves? And if somebody actually says yes, then you end the conversation right there. Like, at a certain point, you got to really understand that, like, I am wasting my time when I could probably be talking to somebody that would transfer over or change. And that person that you're telling that information to might happen down the line, but you're like, you see it on my posts all the time. A lot of people are like, wow, you never go off on anybody, you never fire back. No, like, why waste time on that person? When people, you'll see a lot of times I give one word answer and it's 2 letters. And I go, okay. And I go right on to the next person. Doms, I'm glad you're here because he gave me the best advice. A lot of times I used to always fire back. And he was like, if somebody has a private page, you don't even answer them. Because if they can take a look at everything that you do, but you can't see what they do, it's hypocritical. And at that point, that just opened it up for me. I just like got rid of them. Like, all right, cool. So a lot of times you try to give them real facts. But you'll know if you're wasting your time with somebody or not. Even if it's a family member. Sometimes you gotta let them be and then come back another time when they're ready for the information. Because a lot of times we spark that conversation and they were like, they weren't listening, or they didn't want to listen in the first place. It wasn't their idea to have the conversation. But they'll come to you eventually. And then you were back there. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So what kind of advice would you give to someone who comes from a background where their people
I always say this, and I refer to a lot of friends of mine, because luckily I have a lot of friends in the vegan industry, and Vegan Fat Kid always has one of the best advice with that, and he says, whatever you love that's not vegan, veganize it, but veganize it your way. Like if you love nachos, make the bomb-ass nachos that you love, that if you love extra jalapenos, whatever it is, whatever kind of spice, you veganize that. So when you fall in trouble, you go right into that. Like if it's a burger, you find that one burger that actually tastes like burger, because a lot of food is seasoning. A lot of people don't understand that. Like if you were to eat a steak with no seasoning, you would probably throw up like right there, because, well, most of us are vegan anyways, you probably throw up anyway. But on the flip side is that if you didn't have seasoning on that, that would be something. And speaking of that, how many people here are not vegan? Raise your hand. It's okay, we're not shunning you. It's not, that's for the next talk. That's the next one. So, first of all, let's give them a hand for even showing up here. Because I know we are some crazy motherfuckers. And it can be tough to be around us at times. I know it's tough. You're like, oh, so that's what vegans do, okay. No, but really, like, I know it's tough. I know it can be, like, hard. You're so used to doing a certain thing for a long time. But just look around you. Like, see how many people are flourishing. People are healthy. People are happy. We might get pissed every now and then. It happens. But that's not really our normal behavior. But, yeah, you can do it. I promise you can do it. And always, like I said, that, like, great question what she had, always have that one dish or a couple dishes that you can go back to. Anything that you eat now, in 2017, is so different than being vegan in the 80s. I give them credit. Like, whoever's vegan in the 80s and you still in this room, because you had nothing but, like, salad and berries. Like, that was, you had some willpower back then. But now, literally, anything that you like that's not vegan is literally out there, not at your local store. There's some specialty shop that has it. So it is out there available for you. Next, okay, I see red shirt.
So, going from a non-vegan diet to a vegan diet, top 3 things that you tell somebody to help you get there.
Top 3 things. Any kids in here? Kids? No kids. Fuck haters. That's gonna happen. You're gonna have. There's gonna be a million people out there that are gonna tell you that you are crazy. My granddad, he lived to be 107 and he wasn't vegan. Yeah, but they probably didn't run an autopsy either when he died, and he probably was taking about 18 different medications to get to 107. So people don't think about the quality over quantity method when they're doing that. So forget the haters. Another thing is enjoy the transition, because a lot of people, they put so much pressure on themselves that. Yes, you might slip out. You might have a piece of cheese. You might go out of the country and you don't speak the language and they give you a piece of meat and you didn't know it, and you beat yourself up, and now you like, don't go back to veganism ever again. Like, there will be slip-ups. You know what I'm saying? Like, there won't be many, but it may happen. And the third thing was be happy. Like, just be happy, because the rabbit hole opens up. When you go vegan, you start seeing shit that you like, wait a minute, they were feeding me that, and they were doing this to the animals, and wait, this kind of thing happens on in this country, and wait, this happens in my neighborhood, so there is no McDonald's in Beverly Hills when I ride through there, or there is no liquor store in Beverly Hills, but it's right on every corner where I grew up. You start looking at all those things. Don't let it upset you, just let it enforce why you're doing it. So that was my top 3. Down here.
Hey, so I'm one of the people that rose my hand when you said, "Are you not a vegan?"
Oh yeah.
I'm here just a little open.
That's good.
Because my girlfriend dragged me out here, but
she looked kind of strong. That was good drag.
So I was wondering, for you right now, when you're working out playing sports, what are your main sources of protein? What do you?
I did not put him here. I did not. I'll take it later. So I honestly, I own a protein shake company. So it's not here in Canada yet, but it's called Vegan Smart. Thank you. But in all honesty, I'm probably one of the few owners of a protein shake company that will tell you you don't need protein shakes. My protein shakes are nothing but convenience. Like, I logged 89,000 miles last year. I'm on the road literally all year long. So it's more convenience. And they actually taste pretty damn good, so I have a sweet tooth, and I drink because of that. But protein source, you don't even need as much protein as the industry tries to tell you. Like, I probably bring in maybe 100 grams a day. I mean, just Dom's, how many you probably bring in?
Sometimes less than 50.
Yeah. So, and you see how tiny he is. So, like, that's not. So, you know, protein is the last issue that you have. Like, literally, the one issue you're gonna have is where am I gonna eat? That's it. That's pretty much, that's the biggest issue for a vegan. Especially if you have non-vegan friends. It's like, all right, where am I eating today? Like, okay, if we go there, do I have options, things of that nature? Protein, there's protein in everything we eat. There might be a minuscule amount, there might be a huge amount. There's always protein in there. Like, you can find protein in mangoes if you eat it. Like, you have to remember the building block of protein is amino acids. There's amino acids in everything. So once you look at it like that and break it down, you just have fun eating. Yeah, I saw one right here. Okay, I got you already, but let's go her, because I saw her, she raised it a couple times.
When you're, do you find it easier to appeal to someone's sensibility, like their weight or environmental issues or animal rights, or do you find it easier to appeal to their vanity, like if you go vegan, you'll look at it?
Well, humans have one trait that no other animal on the planet has. That's selfishness. So vanity and all those things that come along with that is probably the thing that I found that works for me. Like, if you tell somebody, hey, look, you don't have to take that little blue pill anymore, bro, if you clean this up. Or, you know, if you tell them, like, hey, look, you know that weight issue that you're having? You know, if you cut out this, because meat hangs around in your system for 7 to 10 days, while vegetables, they come straight through and you kind of clean out that way, people start to listen to that. You know, because people are tired of taking medication. Now, for me, I started for health reasons, but then it became about the animals. So I actually had a guy on one of my posts. I'm glad you asked the question. I had a guy on my post, which I don't know if anybody's seen my music video, but I'm gonna play it at the end of here. But he was like, well, that's a good video, man, but it's all about the animals. And I was like, but if I get people to switch, they'll stop eating animals regardless. And he's like, yeah, but it's still about the animals. And I was like, okay, you're missing the whole big picture then. Like, and me personally, I started off with health, but now I am about the animals, the humans, and everything else. So if I can get people to switch that way, now, John Sally, he has a good point. He always says we need everybody. The people that post the dead animals, the people that post the torture, the people that post about health, the people that post about vanity. We're all a team. Like, I'm not the one that posts a lot about animals, but we need those people out there because somebody will trigger off of that. So that's the thing. For me, it's all about health and vanity because I know from where I come from, that's pretty much what everybody's worried about. So that's where I go. She's next and you're next. Go ahead.
What are the benefits of being vegan versus vegetarian?
Well, you have to remember that. Did everybody hear her question? Okay. So she said, like, the benefits from being vegan as opposed to vegetarian. So you have to remember that cheese and milk have the same DNA that the meat has. So if you're really trying to cut out the bad things of meat, then cutting out the dairy is the same thing. And then if you look at the animal side of it, the animal welfare side of it, like you said, these animals they're not out in the pasture having orgies. They're not having fun. That's not how it works. They're being forced to be impregnated to have more babies so that they can produce the milk and the cheese. And then those babies don't even get to taste that milk or that whatever's coming from that animal, and it's given right to humans. And either we're saying Mother Nature screwed up, or we know better than Mother Nature, but the fact that humans stop producing milk at a certain age means we don't need it anymore. And we definitely don't need it from an animal that grows to be 2,000 pounds. And then we wonder why we have so many complications. Because you have to remember, it takes a calf to grow into a cow less than a year. It takes a human up to 18 years to grow into a full body. So we're taking the concentrated version and just throwing it in the human body and wondering why we're having so many complications. So that's another reason, difference between vegetarian and vegan. And I said, nope, it was right in here.
It was me.
Yeah, it was there. Okay, I got you though. I got y'all.
Okay. So this is not about the type of protein or the amount of protein, but
Okay.
I'm curious because you guys are athletes, you work out. Do you subscribe to some of the typical bodybuilding philosophy of eating protein, some kind of vegan protein, 30 minutes after working out, or any of those things? Or do you think, for you guys, what has worked?
For me, and this is a good thing, we're like best friends, like dead serious, but we have different habits. For me, I do intermittent fasting. I've done it for years. Like Jim Morris was my mentor. If anybody knows Jim Morris, great guy. If you don't know him, definitely Google him. Great guy, 81 years old, still built like a rock. So what happened was he taught me this whole way of eating and fasting throughout the day, and then incorporating my eating later on in the day. So for me, I don't have that window of time. Like for me now, I have my workout class at 6 in the morning. I don't eat till probably around noon. So and I stopped eating at 8 the night before. So that's the way I do my eating. But I think it's different strokes for different people. Folks, I just didn't want to say it like that. Different strokes. But it really just applies. And I think it's about testing your body too. I think as humans, we're scared to test our body. And you have to find what works for you. What works for Dom doesn't work for me. What works for Tori doesn't work for me. Whoever the case may be, we might have some similar things. But we all three of us, we tested ourselves to find out first. Sometimes we just want it handed to us. And that's not the way it works. A lot of times we get so many emails like, hey, what's your eating habits? I'm like, yeah, but what have you tried so far? Mm-hmm. And they don't want to share that, but they just want your stuff. So it's kind of like that's the only way to help out is try as many things as you can and see what works for you.
No, it's good to hear that it's different. You guys have done different things.
Yes, thank you. I saw it was, yes.
Yes,
I got you.
Can you?
No, you not.
Okay. Can you give an example of that we can relate to about smashing an obstacle? Like, I don't know that it works for me to just say, bring it on, or, attitude. Like, you have to have a strategy, I guess, or...
What are you afraid of right now? Like, what have you not done in your life that you're afraid of? That you want to do, but you're afraid of?
Really, go 100% with what I know works for my body without negotiating, without compromising. I'm still kind of doing that.
Gotcha.
I've done that for 5 years, a long time ago, with being vegan and raw. And I just have found myself slipping and sliding into, so just eating cooked vegan is not good for my body, for example.
Gotcha.
It just isn't, and I know it.
So that obstacle is eating cooked food.
Yeah.
So the way to find out how to break and smash through that is to ask yourself one true question. What's stopping you?
I don't know.
Nothing. It's you. That's the thing. Once you figure out that you're usually the main obstacle in your life, with most things in our life, we're our main obstacle. If we want to go get that degree, it's us. If we want to learn how, sometimes you don't even need a degree to start a business. You can Google everything you need. There's some bullshit out there, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of good stuff out there. And the more you realize that we are our own barrier, that's when you have that talk in the mirror like, okay, I got this. And a lot of times it may take that talk every day. Like I talk to myself every day. I'm very honest. I don't answer myself, but I talk to myself. There's not a dialogue, but I talk to myself all the time. And you have to do that. Like, has anybody seen my Midnight Motivations before? Okay, Midnight Motivation started off for me. It really was for me. I started writing Midnight Motivation as a talk to myself. Like, okay, John, stop playing. You can do this. Get up. And then I start thinking like, you know what? Somebody else could probably use this. And that's where it came from. But once we hold ourselves accountable, now don't get me wrong, there's some things that we can't control. There's always going to be a couple things, a couple factors, a couple outlying factors. But once you realize that, then you're good. There's something that I learned in business that I applied to my whole life, and it's called SWOT. Has anybody ever heard of SWOT analysis? So SWOT analysis, if you write it down, it's SWOT.
Okay, thank you.
So it means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So if you look at your life, strengths and weaknesses are always internal. That means you control them. A strength might be that you know that raw food works for you. A weakness may be that you love cooked food. But those are internal. You have control over those. An opportunity may be that there's a sale on raw fruit and you go take advantage of it and you rack up. A threat may be that a hurricane is hitting Miami and it's going to mess up all of your raw fruit. So that's a threat. So what you have to do is you have to always be able to look at your life and say, what's my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, and threats? It's okay, you pick it up. Go ahead. No, but you do that with anything in your life. If you're looking to do a new business venture, you look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of that business venture. If you're looking to move to another state, you look at, it's just the pros and cons. But it lets you see what you control and what you don't control. And sometimes, if what you don't control has more advantage for you, you do it. And sometimes if it's a threat, you step back and say, okay, maybe I need to wait a little while. So that's always a good thing. Make sure that the obstacle that's in the way is not you. If it's you, you can take care of that. You might just have to talk to yourself sometimes. I mean, there's been many times, like I haven't had baked goods in 100 days. Believe me, there's been plenty of talks with myself. Today and yesterday, there's been plenty of talks. Nadia's been here, she can tell you. I was like, no, John, no, that looks good. And then people like biting it in front of my face and like, okay, and then everything looks like slow motion then when they do it. It's like, come on, like, but you have to have those talks with yourself. And the more you have it, and the more you're not afraid to talk to yourself, you get out of that real easy.
What did you say about the baked goods, and what was the thing you repeated?
That was my, well,
just
stop.
You say to yourself, come on.
Yeah, I really do. I really do. I'm like, come on, you're stronger than that. Like I tell myself, you're stronger than that. You're stronger than that one-time satisfaction. Because that baked good will be there. You know what I'm saying? Me building up 100 days, if somebody outside was like, come on, you can have just one. I was like, it's been 100 days already. Why would I throw it away for this one? And the more days you build on top of that, the more strength you actually get. The more you get to that point where, well, why would I throw away 100 days for one? It's almost like, you know, I've never been an alcoholic. I don't drink anymore, but I've never been an alcoholic. But I've heard from them like, you know, they're like, well, I've got 5 years of sobriety. Why would I throw it away for one day? You know, so it's kind of like that, just building on top of that, building on top. And having that, and talking to yourself in a positive way, not in a negative way. Like I talk to myself like, come on, you know you can do this. Not like, oh man, don't be a punk, don't be weak. Like, no, like you got this, come on, you can do this, you know you can do it. And if I ever do slip up, I still won't beat myself up. You just get right back on the horse like, okay, well now I'm the horse, sorry, vegan, sorry. Sorry. Get back on the mechanical bull and you ride it out, you know? So that's how you do it. Sorry about that. Sorry. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps.
A lot, thank you.
Thank you. She was right here. I got you next. Yeah, you're next.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something quick in response to the person who asked the difference between vegetarian and vegan and kind of the health benefits and stuff like that. So I've been vegan for almost 14 years, and I'm also a medical student. So as soon as I got into medical school, I thought maybe someone will start listening to me now. That kind of thing, kind of those credentials and stuff. So not to advertise myself, but I recently published a research article in the University of Toronto Medical Journal, and I spoke about all of the health benefits and all of these hidden research studies that have existed since the 1950s showing the health benefits of vegetarian diets, and even over that, the vegan diet, significant health benefits even over vegetarian diets. So if anyone's interested, I brought a couple of copies if you're interested afterwards. So I'd be happy to share that.
And no, that was not a plug. That's good. That's awesome. No, that's good. Definitely. And if you have an electronic copy, I'd love you to email it to me.
Yep.
Thank you. I had somebody, right here. I know it's right there.
Actually, it's funny that you say that because I wanted to say that something to that aspect too. Because when I was younger, I used to drink milk. Like I used to eat cornflakes and everything, and like I went through a phase in so little time, which is like scary.
Yeah.
And I did sports. So whatever, like I got hurt so many times, and my bones would splinter.
Yeah.
And I found out after doctors asked me if I drank a lot of milk. They said, well, this osteoporosis can come from that. And I was so shocked. And I've been vegan for a long time now and vegetarian since kindergarten. So that's when I changed, and now I get so frustrated. That's actually not what I wanted to talk about. I actually wanted to say, how do you approach people that you really love and that you see are suffering from all the meat or the diet that they actually have in the moment? Because my aunt and my swallow a pill every night because of the acidity of the steak that is eating away in their stomachs. And then my cousin is only 26, and he's going gold now, and he's wondering why. And like, there's so many things that they suffer from that they have to take pills, and they're not old. They're young people, and they need all those supplements, and they tell me that I'm not healthy because I don't go, I never go to the doctor because there's nothing wrong with me anymore. But how do you help them without pushing it? Because I realized if you want to push something on somebody,
it will never work.
Never listen. Like, I don't want anyone to push anything on me, if it's religion or if it's anything. Really.
It's the same sense of what I talked about earlier about the whole South Beach kind of mentality. Like, you have to, I call it the Trojan horse tactic. Like, the Trojan horse came in, they thought it was a part of them, they thought it was all cool, they left, and then it was just all these particles of like, okay, what just happened? So that's what I do. I come in, I try to look like them, I dress like them, I act like them, I listen to music like them, I go to the same concerts, the same movies, I might even go to the same restaurant, but I'm just waiting on somebody to ask me the question. The thing is, a lot of times we try to, like I said, we try to push it on them so much that the first thing is defense. It's automatic. Like you said, you can literally tell them like the best advice in the world, and it's like us. If somebody was to come to us as a vegan and try to tell us something about changing, we're not going to listen to them. It's just not going to work. So it's like they have to be inquisitive about it. And at that same sense, you live in that great, healthy, loving life. You're still their friend. I guarantee you, if you stop mentioning vegan at all to them, eventually like, you know, it's been a while since you haven't said go vegan. Like, what's up with that? Like, I guarantee you. Like, I guarantee you. It might hurt. It might be hard to do. You might itch. Like, it's like a fiend, kind of like, I just want to say vegan. Like, sometimes that happens, but you have to kind of step back and say, all right, well, that's not working. And sometimes you have to realize, like, okay, I'm not giving up on the journey. I'm just taking a different path. So now I'm going to reverse psychology them. Now I'm going to step back. So for the people that are not vegan here, raise your hands again. I'm sorry. Okay, how many times has somebody tried to force you to be vegan? Like all the time.
No.
But I'm saying though, but you get tired of hearing like, okay, go vegan, go vegan, go vegan. Hey, go vegan. Hey, why aren't you vegan yet? Hey, you know what? You know why you should go vegan? But I guarantee you, the reason why you did go vegan was not because somebody pounded you down. It was kind of you did your own little research on the side. You kind of went around and like, all right, that person can tell me. But I bet another thing is too, because they know you, your advice is shit. My own family does not listen to me. I have total strangers that listen to me and listen to everything I say. But my family does not. I don't have one person in my family that's vegan besides me. That's it. Because it's me. They know me since I was a kid. They changed my diaper. They've seen my ugly, dirty diaper. They don't care. My opinion means nothing. They don't care how many followers I have, how many places I speak, how many people are in the crowd when I speak. They don't care if Barack Obama himself was sitting there, we were having a one-on-one discussion. They were like, yeah, Barack, he's stupid. Right now, you're their friend, their family. So what happens is, hey, when you get up from the computer, leave Dom's page up. Leave my page up. Leave Dr. Gregor's page up. It's little things like that, little things they keep seeing on Netflix. Leave Cowspiracy, What the Hell, Forks Over Knives. Leave that in the playlist every time. Leave it there every time. When they get on their TV and they see Forks Over Knives every time, they're going to watch it. It might be 5 minutes at a time, but they're going to watch it. So remember, your advice means nothing to them. As much as they love you, it'll never mean anything to them. Even after they go vegan, they still won't listen to you. I guarantee you, I'm not playing. Like, they'll go vegan, they'll ask you for advice, and then when you're like, hey, how did that thing go when we talked about last month? Oh, yeah, so what happened was I ended up going somewhere else. I didn't even stick to that advice you gave me. That's just how it is. My mom literally, I gave her a whole speech on coconut water when she came to visit me in Miami. Whole speech. 5 months later, she sent me an article. Oh my God, did you see this thing about coconut water? And I'm not even exaggerating. That's exact. I know my mom's gonna see this and be like, why did you put me out there like that? But it's the truth. It doesn't matter. It came from her son. I will never know more than her. No matter how much research I do, no matter how many degrees I get, she does not care. So that should help you out. Like, it's not you personally, you're just not worthy enough. All right, 1 and 2. Come back. Okay, here. Yep.
For intermittent fasting, I've been doing it for 3 months now myself.
Okay.
I've been doing a breakup of 600 and then a 100 and then 800 calories.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I do. Well, I just started CrossFit, which I know that's nuts in itself, and I used to do literally. I could go from. I had a 1 hour window. I do 23-1. I used to until I started CrossFit, and I just didn't have the energy throughout the day anymore. Like, so now I go at 12. I eat every 2 hours, so I have 5 meals in between that. So 5 incremental meals from 12 to 4, 6, 8. And that's how I do it.
And that's just because you're doing high intensity now?
Yeah, I just, like, my energy was, I mean, like, I have a daughter now, and, like, literally, we were taking naps together. I was like, it's nap time, man, let's go. No, like, she was looking at me like, no, not that. I'm like, no, yeah, it's nap time. Like, it was bad. The first couple weeks was bad. Like, 10:30 a.m., I was ready. It was nap time. So I had to change my eating, because I was still waiting until 8 o'clock, and my body was like, no, this is not going to work. So I changed it up to that, and I'm still seeing, you know, my fat is staying low and things of that nature, so it works out. Yeah, I had somebody right behind you. Yep, Blue Jean.
I was wondering, what's your go-to meal that you make for non-vegan friends and family to kind of...
I make these nachos, man. They're kind of deadly. They're kind of deadly. I make nachos. I make my own cheese sauce. If anybody wants to write down the recipe, it's really easy. It's cashews, water, jalapeno pepper, a full red pepper, sea salt, and did I say water? I said water, right? That's it. It's so easy, and like literally, I have meat eaters that are like, oh, so what kind of cheese is? I'm like, all plant-based. I made it in a blender. They're like, no way. I'm like, yeah, we made it in a blender. And I'll use different, you know, like it depends if I really feel like taking the time to make the meat, like, you know, nut-based meat or whatever. But a lot of times when I'm cooking for like meat eaters, I just don't feel like putting it all the time. So I just nothing against them. It's just if they're gonna act like they hate it anyway, I don't want to be like, oh man, I put all this work into it and then you hate it. So I just let you hate it with, you know, my rush version. But they always like it. So I'll do that. The chips, a little bit of jalapeno. I like cayenne pepper. I like spicy food. It's funny, I hated spicy food before I went vegan. And for some reason, once I went vegan, ginger and cayenne are like my best friends. I love it. I love it to death. So, but nachos is definitely one of my easiest favorites that I can go to. Jean, and you coming next, and I see you and you. Ooh, way back there. I apologize. My bad. I see you, but you're next, and we're gonna work back down. So you.
Do you have any tips and tricks for people who travel a lot, find good vegan restaurants?
I love my friends at Happy Cow. I do use them. The Happy Cow app is a good, he's gonna love me for saying it. I use Happy Cow a lot. I use Yelp. I actually do use Yelp as well. And I check with Yelp and I make sure that it's actual vegan options, because you'll go to Yelp sometimes and you'll type in vegan and it'll be like barbecue grill. Like, no, that's not it. And they have like one salad. But a lot of times you will find a lot of good places on Yelp that sometimes Happy Cow might not have. So between Happy Cow and Yelp, I use both of them. That'd be definitely something good. All the way in the back.
Thank you. Also, your answers to the questions are so good, because it took forever, like from my friends and family, or not even family. But my question is about like the middle of American food deserts. Like, do you think that it's possible for like those people today to go vegan? Are there options out there, or is it still kind of desert?
The thing is, it is possible. The thing is that what happens is we as consumers sometimes forget the power we have, because if we only buy fruits and vegetables, Whole Foods that's not in the middle of the bad neighborhoods, one day they're going to be like, you know what, the money is coming from there. And what happens is each store competes with each other. Each store wants to be closer to the demographic that's spending the most money. Because Beverly Hills, sometimes it's hard to believe, but they're not the ones spending the most money. It's the people in those food deserts. But what happens is they find out that the people in the food deserts are catching the bus and going all the way out here. What happens is every grocery store has fruits and vegetables and natural foods. It's just that in our head, sometimes we think we have to go far to get it. if we go to that grocery store that's close to us, if we support the local grocery store, Whole Foods, as much as they're cool people, I know they got a booth here and everything, they hate to lose money. What they're gonna do is they're gonna say, oh shit, we need to get closer than the grocery store is to that demographic. So they're gonna build something closer than that grocery store. And then what's gonna happen is another grocery store is gonna see that competition and they're gonna try to build something closer. But we have to realize that we are the demographic that controls that money. So instead of spending it at McDonald's and at Burger King and at the liquor store and all these things that aren't supporting the community, we have to go get it from places that do. And if we go to Whole Foods, if there's not a Whole Foods in 5 miles, we have to go 10 miles. Going out to those 10 miles, eventually Whole Foods will see like, well, that's why if you ever notice like stores ask you what's your zip code, that's what they're doing. They're seeing where their money's coming from. So if they see that their money's coming from this zip code, guess what? They're like, well shit, if we get enough people from this zip code and they're traveling all the way out here, guess how many we're probably missing that aren't coming out here? Let's build something right there. And that's how it happens. But we have to not support McDonald's and not support Burger King and Taco Bell and KFC and all the other bullshit, you know, so many other things. But that's what it comes from. Okay, go for it, and then you.
I also put a change from within, right? I just remember being part of a focus group from McDonald's, and it was a bunch of us mothers, and they're asking us like, what do they want to see change in McDonald's? And we said, well, healthier food. And I know it's a big stretcher, but they know there is some healthy foods in McDonald's. And I think maybe we can convince McDonald's also to carry vegan options. I mean, I know it's crazy, but it's an idea.
And it sounds great, but it's been so many years that it isn't transitioning that way. So we kind of got, like I said, same journey, just a different path. So like, it's okay to try to ask McDonald's for options, but at the same time, until they have it, we don't support them. That's the problem. It's like, we're like, well, they said they might have it, so you keep going in, and they're like, well, you're still coming anyway, so why would we change it? It's like a bad relationship. It's like, if you don't change, I'm gonna leave. And then they never change, and you're still there. So it's like, it's the same thing. Black shirt, I see you. Go ahead.
So you mentioned you have a daughter?
Yeah.
How old is she?
16 months.
16 months.
Yeah, go ahead, you can say all.
As she starts to grow up more and be more conscious of her food, what do you hope in terms of her choices? Do you hope that she follows suit?
Yeah, of course. But I think my role is to inform her why she's doing it. Not just like, hey, I'm vegan, you have to eat vegan. Like, no, health-wise, animal-wise, earth-wise, like I'm going to be very open with her why I do it, And that's the biggest thing for me, is just to not try to have it to where she's like guessing, why am I vegan? And then when she gets to 18, she wants to change it up because she's like, oh my God, he pressured me into this. I want to make sure that she understands why she's doing it. And still at 18, if she wants to do it, hey, you're out of my house. Whatever you want to do, you do. Like, if you're in my house, though, don't think you're going to bring it in here. So that's just a way of doing it for me. Wow, more in the back. So sorry, are we almost done? We got 5 minutes. So you got to keep it quick, and then we got the video. All right, so real quick, Jackie, go.
You mentioned earlier that you haven't had cooked food or baked goods in 100 days.
Yeah, it's tough.
What are your thoughts on raw versus cooked, all within the vegan realm?
I think there's a lot of times we put too much pressure on people that we separate ourselves so much between like, oh, you're not raw till midnight, then I can't talk to you, or yeah, do the math on that, raw till midnight. But like, I think raw definitely has its purposes. I know people that have had a lot of ailments, and by going raw, there's a great place called Hippocrates in West Palm, and they promote all raw, and they help heal people like Serena Williams, all kind of things. So I think it does have its place. Now, necessarily, you don't have to eat raw all the time. Like I do a raw, like maybe every year I do like probably 30 days, 2 weeks to 30 days. So I do believe in it, but I also believe that it's not the end all be all as well. Next to you had his hand up too? No? Okay, sorry. All right, go. Yeah. Yes.
So I just wanted to understand how your positivity, that's part of being healthy too.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you learned, or it's just like, how did you
I just started noticing that it was so many negative people around me that were having so many negative things happen to them that I was like, well, you know what? I might be still having the same things around me, but my outlook on it is different. Like, I'm not saying I don't have bad things happen. It's just my outlook. Like I said, me getting here was a journey in itself, like leaving Miami. And I just looked around the airport and there was so many people cursing, mad, arguing, whatever. But I just don't want anything to penetrate me and to be that negative. Like they say, energy cannot be destroyed or created. It can only be transferred from one entity to the next. If somebody tries to come to me with negative energy, they can keep it. Like, I don't even want it. Like, that's not me. If you want to give me good energy, I'll take it and I'll give it back to somebody else. But if it's negative, I don't even allow it into my circle. And that's what I've learned. Like, the more positive that I am, the more positivity has happened in my life. That's it. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, the last two. You and you. That's it. I'm sorry. Go.
So, what's your advice when you have to be with someone that eats fish and dairy? And I recently become vegan for a month now, and I have a hard time to set the rules. You eat vegan in my house, and outside the house you do whatever you want. But sometimes I'm intolerant. So.
But who are we talking? Your children or who is it?
No, my partner.
No, that's not hard. It's your house. I know that might sound cruel, and it might sound, but your house is your house. Do you share the mortgage?
Yeah.
Is his name on the house too?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what you have to tell him in that sense. And I think I said this last year, and it's gonna sound so crude and so hard, but women have to understand you're the most powerful thing on this earth. If you literally don't want him eating fish in your house, I guarantee you he won't be eating fish in his house. You might have to take a couple things away from him, if you know what I mean. But I guarantee you, if he starts seeing he doesn't get the cookie, cookies taste better than fish any day. That's all I'm gonna say. That's it, man.
Negative people around you.
Yeah.
And earlier you said you don't drink, but you live in this kind of party scene. So are you out partying with other vegans and people who don't drink, or how do you deal with that? Some people
No. See, I can be in a room full of negativity and they'll never touch me. Like I go out, like I don't go out like I used to, not at all. But I can be around that scene and not literally be affected by it, because I also know that as vegans, if we hang around nothing but vegans, who the hell are we gonna influence to come vegan?
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to get out there. Like a lot of people like I can't remember. There was one organization that tried to tell me like, you shouldn't talk to anybody that's not vegan. I was like, well, how the hell am I ever gonna get somebody else to go vegan? Like that makes no sense. Like never sit down dinner with somebody that's not vegan. Okay, well, how can I make them look at going vegan if they're never around me? So my thing is you just have to have your mind frame of like, if somebody's talking negative, that's great, that works for you. Okay, all right, cool. Like, you shut down any negativity around you and you just kind of move on from there.
Did you find that happened when you were also saying, I also don't drink?
So when I stopped drinking, that was like basically saying I was a devil worshiper. I'm not even exaggerating. Like some people just did not agree on that. So this is the last video. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I got it. And I don't know how to make this large screen, so we're just going to go with it here. For those that haven't heard it, here you go. For those that have heard it, go through. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Badass V. And as you know, I'm not a rapper. I thought I'd drop you a little help hip-hop into my soul. So hopefully after you're done with this, give me a little beat, something smart. You ready? Let's go. Okay, so today we gonna change the game. You might change up your lane or remain the same. You might think I'm a lame or explain the same. But here's food for thought to sustain your brain. No, it's not your fault. There's education out there that nobody taught from the time you were born. They got you ready to eat potato or pork as a kid when they introduced you to a sport. Man, they put anything together, cause they know that you'll eat anything they tell you. Fast food, fries, chicken, finger licking, good for you to eat. You question me, better believe it. They got meat if you read it. Out for a year, bacteria won't even eat it. Speaker with the flies, we done with the lies, and we just got to speak truth to your lives. So let's celebrate life. We only came here just to elevate life. Tell them what's right. Eating smart, being smart, from the heart I'm speaking. While
Wise words from the badass vegan. So let's celebrate life. We only came here just to elevate life. Till the wall right is on me, it's like I'm speaking. Wise words from the badass vegan. This is so you can make informed decisions. Fix things in your life with more precision. Never too late for your redemption. Get busy dying and get busy living. Yo, I tell you, no fool got the answer. World Health Board is about cancer. 18% less chance of cancer at your feet if you cut out the processed meat. But yeah, we all know how to process meat. Yeah, I really want to let you stop the beat. Before you say you're not taking forward, got your lives. You got the documentary force of a dime. Conspiracy and earthlings, the first thing you should see. Your body is the worst thing for your body. And talk to somebody making that change right now. So let's celebrate life. We only came here just to elevate life. John Buck's right. Eating smart, being smart from the heart. I'm speaking. Wise words from the badass vegan. So let's celebrate life. We only came here just to elevate life. Tell them why right. Eating smart, being smart from the heart. I'm speaking. Wise words from the badass vegan. Look, we don't expect you to follow to the letter. Just trying to give you the way to do better. Just trying to give you to see the whole setup. I'm ready to give you a hand. Quick stop. Let's write the shit. It's in this fight to the world called hip hop. Cause we in a fight. Man, we playing for our lives. For the right to live, and we playing for our wives. Fighting for our kids. If this was a person resting alive, when you were fighting to the end. You can live a lot longer. Ignore the myths, you become a lot stronger. Pass on the way to protein and greens. Mustard, broccoli, almonds, and peas. Lentils, soybeans, man, it's a ton. I got 99 dollars worth of protein, ain't one. So let's celebrate life. We only came here just to elevate life. Tell them what's right. Eat smart, being smart from the heart. I'm speaking. Wise words from the badass vegan. So let's celebrate life. We only came here just to elevate life. Tell them what's right. Eat smart, being smart from the heart. I'm speaking. Wise words from the badass vegan. Shout out to the noobs, vegan smart, nature aid, sick. My boy Styles P, Toy Washington, Donald Thompson, vegan food chef, and everybody else out there. Much love. We out. Before everybody leaves, we're just gonna get like one quick picture. You can stand up in your chair. We're just gonna be right here, just whatever. And